Hi, this is Manjula Narayan, books editor, Hindustan Times, and this is Ritu Bhatia, author of Manspotting, Chronicles of Midlife Romance. And I spoke about her, her book on Bookstack last week, and it's really a fun book. And not only is it fun, it's also serious. It's fun and insightful at the same time. So and it gives you a real insight into Indian men.
Okay.
Well, and how relationships are today. So, it's not a frivolous book, and that's what I liked about it. Though it made me laugh at many points. So tell me how you.
Yeah. First of all, thanks so much for appreciating it and actually appreciating the certain aspects of it which I was trying to draw attention to. Well, it all started because I found myself in the middle of all sorts of awkward situations with men. I was in a very muddled space between the old world and the new world. And I found there were a lot of women like me in the same space. So the question was, well, what do we do about this? I mean, how do we go forward in this space? Is our time up? And so I thought that, and when you look around, there's no actual documentation of any kind. Documentation is a heavy word, but you know what I mean. There's a lot of stuff about what it's like to be young and wanting romance. But there's nothing for, okay, so you're above a certain age. What happens when you stick your foot out there of the front door and you say, what's waiting here for me? So the idea was really to share what I found was a common experience, which was how I started. I made some notes and people appeared interested in them, which was what this was about.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so should we read the flap, the back, so that people know those who haven't seen Bookstack?
Yeah, maybe the middle, maybe the, whatever you like. I think maybe the middle portion would cover it. We can maybe, whatever you feel, I mean.
Being footloose and fancy-free may be fun in your 20s, but what is it like in your 40s? Ritu Bhatia embarks on a roller coaster ride through the new world of relationships to find out. So, in the book, you say you decide to leave home. I mean, you had a son and decided that the marriage wasn't working out in the way that you wanted it to work out, and found yourself single in your late 30s.
That's right.
And then, first of all, that's like really, I don't know, it's really brave to just, and like you mentioned, usually it's like if you're beaten or the guy's cheating on you, that's when it's permitted in India to get up and say, okay, I've had enough. But otherwise, to just feel a sense of, unease and dissatisfaction.
It's a very selfish reaction to walk off from that. People consider it very selfish that, but that wasn't enough for you to.
Yeah, you have to be battered.
That's not enough. Right,
exactly. To be,
But I just felt, these things are not always planned in any way. You just know that, okay, I don't want to do this anymore. It's like a job that you want to leave, but you don't know what you might do instead of that. So you just say, okay, I need to find another way. So that was more my stance than actually saying I'm leaving this and I'm starting something new. And so my journey was more a journey of stumbling upon. As you can see, it was more stumbling upon, and I am an experimental person to some extent. Safety matters, but I'm still open to learning, and also I'm very curious. So where does this take me? What is this? And I love people. So it's really, Manspotting is about my study of people. Men and women alike.
Yeah, also women. How we, I noticed how we react, how the middle class, upper middle class, educated, urban woman reacts to men as well. You offer that perspective, in the muddled way, and how there are no rules really anymore. If you're single and middle-aged.
I think there are no rules in general, frankly, whether you're middle-aged or you're young any longer. Rules are just being evolved. We aren't a culture that where dating was ever part of it naturally.
Yes.
It's a Western concept which we are now taking on.
If you dated somebody, you married him. That's
but
what
yes,
it
it's worse for middle-aged people because there's really nothing there. Still the younger people, I think, have the advantage of a whole generation of support. They've got their own college mates who are also up to the same tricks. Do we try Tinder? Do we try Facebook? What do we try? But here we are in a space where, everyone's trying different things. It's like shooting for a star. You're just saying, okay, let's try this approach, let's try. So that was what I was trying to actually capture. That is relatively random.
Okay. But while you were exploring, you've met such characters. and they've all given such brilliant insights into the male Indian male psyche. Like I told you, one of my friends said, "Oh, it's all man bashing." Huh? So, but we know it's not man bashing. So talk about that.
Okay.
You know,
the thing is that I really like men. I mean, I think that the men and women are enjoy each other's company. There's a certain yin and yang thing there, which we shouldn't try and dismiss. It's important. I like having a man in a room with a group of women to give the balance there.
Yes.
So it's not about male bashing. It's just a look at, so all of us want something. And it's simply looking at, well, can this person, if you take away the male and female part of it, actually deliver that to me? Can a person deliver just calling when they say they'll call? Can a person just, ask me how I'm feeling one morning? So if you take the male and female out of it, it's actually more a human experience you're looking for. That's what I was looking for. It was like, what kind of human being is out there among the men? And I think that's where I found the whole thing quite interesting, because human beings, as we see them in terms of being sincere, regular, committed to models of taking care of women, children, well, some of them don't function like that. That's what I felt, that my journey revealed that no, I mean, you can't assume these things any longer. You can't assume that the next person is actually going to call you on your birthday because he knows it's your birthday. So that is where I think the whole learning came about for me in this whole crazy journey of meeting people. But I have to say I really enjoyed it, because it was so out of my comfort zone. As you can see in some parts, it was so out of my comfort zone. I joined a gym so late in life, and part of the gym routine was going on a Saturday night dance thing. So, I had to find clothes to dance. And then I'd never done that, not even in my youth. And it was an all-night dancing affair. So I realized being part of this gang means, be out there, get your clothes together, get. So it was a really refreshing experience, to experience sort of what maybe I missed in my teenage years, or maybe I missed while I was growing up. As you read about my childhood and my growing up, it was very somber. So this was maybe that, what they say, that you relive at a certain age of life. I felt like that, actually. Yeah. It was,
and the guy you met at the gym, he was a very interesting character. This male model, so self-obsessed and so
beautiful.
He was beautiful.
Yeah, physically very beautiful. Yeah, it was just nice to look at, because he was a model, and so yeah.
But I mean, I've never come across a man who's like so brazen about what he wants, like you said.
But have you been to the gym?
I go to a gym.
Yeah. Well, a lot of men spend a lot of time looking in mirrors. If you watch them, they're like lifting a weight. And they're, here. And so, I mean, there's a lot of that. Just look around. You see them all over. You see them sitting in cars, speeding along. It's a culture. And I think that men are now as conscious of how they look as women. And male looks matter. So you remember it wasn't the case.
Male looks matter, but not as much as
no, that of course. No? That goes without saying. I mean,
the most hideous men will, I mean, I'm sorry, but will have all these gorgeous wives and girlfriends, and you always wonder, like, what's up with that?
Well, it's just a barter. Because you've given me the car and the credit card, and hell, I've given you you can hang me on the side of your arm. So I think that's quite clear, and that's across all cultures, don't you think? It's not specific to us. I mean, the business of powerful men and women actually deriving the benefits of their power, without actually doing any work, except looking beautiful, which I think is a lot of work too.
Yeah, that's a lot of work.
Yeah,
that's true.
Exactly. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Okay. So like we were discussing earlier, that while I was reading this book, it brought me back to this, which I realized is a very old-fashioned idea, and a lot of Indian women have this idea that most men are very difficult to deal with at an intimate level, but your sons are above it all. Anything is forgiven of them, even like modern, supposedly forward, whatever, thinking women like us. We will, our sons are great, but maybe not the others. And they're different from other men.
Yeah.
They're exemplary. when all Indian women think this.
Yeah.
You know,
Actually,
and like you were saying, it perpetuates the whole cycle of the man thinking, "Oh, I am so great." Maybe that's why Indian men think that they're so great because we are responsible for this.
Thing, right? I think less so now. I think we're a culture that pampers our children in any case.
Yeah.
You know, we are. And we are sort of taking on the helicopter parenting. Whether you look at bringing up daughters or sons.
Yes.
I think that in general there is a pampering culture.
Yeah.
You know, we want to let our children's clothes be ironed, khana khila do, pack the tiffin.
Give it special hona chahiye.
Exactly. So I think that in general we are a pampering culture. I think that in our generation we are becoming more conscious of the fact that, look, let's try and raise our sons and daughters. Let's try and degenderize the situation at home. And I do know, I have many friends who are working on that. So I think for as many as the general population which raises their son as God, there are some of us trying to say, you know, make your morning tea. Go get out there, walk the dog. You know, no, I'm just, you obviously don't subscribe to that. I can see that.
You walk the dog.
Yeah. So, you know, you have to kind of, it's okay. And then I keep saying, well, let it be. They're at home. Who knows when they leave home and then they go away. Exactly. So that's the mindset, I think, of a lot of us. And we don't want our children to make their beds, and we don't want our children to suffer in any way. So I think that's male and female alike. I'm sure do you have a daughter?
No, I have 2 sons.
Yeah, so there you go. So you probably would do the same for your daughter. I just think that basically it's just that we pamper our kids. And the Indian culture gives license to pamper kids. And but
women don't grow up with this assumption that they are, you know.
I think that society, it's a combination of both the home and how they're treated outside. I mean, in the workplace, for instance, a man in a senior position, you know, can expect a certain level of treatment, and a woman can't. So it's
you touch on that. You touch on that.
I think so. At every level, see, the question of this. Somebody raised the issue of manly tasks. Why have you used this word manly? You know, and womanly, because it seems like a really kind of very easy gender stereotyping. But you know, in my time, there were things such as manly jobs, and even though I've tried to get out of that mindset and take on manly jobs, the point is there are certain things that are just more difficult to do in India for women. You know, I mean, we have to get a property mutated. We have to get anything done in the bank.
Like you said, you know, the plumbers, electricians, I mean, how to, like, you know.
So they really end up becoming, look at this, they end up becoming manly even more. So even though we're trying to take them out of that slot of saying, look, let's do it. Let's not be women of the past. Let's take on all this. But then our efforts are kind of defeated right at the onset, because someone's looking at us and saying, "Tum kyun aaye ho yahan? You know, where's your husband? Where's your son? Whoever."
Yeah.
So I think it's a culture that perpetuates the male as God syndrome. It starts at home, of course, and I think we can try and make an effort to stop that. But then it has to stop at many levels, right?
Right.
Yeah. So it's
true.
Yeah. And unfortunately, women have to then ultimately deal with the fact that you've got godlike men.
Yeah.
Or those who fancy themselves as, you know, larger than
so
life.
Many.
Yeah. It's the way they strut around, the way they walk. It's in their whole tone, their manner. Yeah. And it's kind of funny for me now, I must say. Yeah. It wasn't probably when I was much younger. It was annoying.
Yeah.
But now I look and say, oh no, not again. Yeah.
And also, you know, you've touched on women themselves, like, you know, outwardly seeming liberated and being, you know, sexually liberated, but actually still holding on to the old ideas that this man has had sex with her, so he has to marry her. You point that out.
Yeah, right.
You know, that whole, and she herself is supposedly very liberated.
Yeah.
But she has this sort of old-fashioned
expectation
and expectation.
Yeah. That's right. You know? That's right. Yeah. I don't think that I think that the real idea of sexual liberation is still an idea. You know, to actually, for it to go into your core is another matter.
Yes.
For you to say, okay, sexual liberation means I may never see this person again. All right. Means that it doesn't matter how I feel in the morning. Means he doesn't have to call me to find out, or any of those things. Those seem to me almost unnatural. If you look at it within take it out of the context of liberation, and you say that the act of sex is an intimate act. After all, you're with someone in an intimate way. So how can you take complete feeling out of that?
Yes.
And so I think that a lot of women imagine they can, and men too, I must say. I think that
I don't think they have.
I think we shouldn't generalize. There are some men who also attach meaning to sexual encounters.
No, that's what I mean. I don't think that they don't attach meaning.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So, but I do
though
think
you might
that
say that they don't attach it.
That's right. You're right. It's more a show.
Yeah, it's more
and
a show.
Similarly for women, I think it's still show. To actually, I mean this even in the younger generation. I'm around much younger people. They're genuinely hurt.
Yeah, of course.
It's not that it's just go along there, have a little fling. So this whole thing of, if you recall, that college, those college pickup sex in the US that precipitated this whole. It was called it was. Sorry, I'm trying to remember the term. Basically, everyone just picked each other up for the night, and everyone in India thought that was a very sexy trend.
Really?
Yeah. It's that's right. It was in the 90s, late 90s, early 2000. And then I think that we always emulate the West, so we try to play with that idea. I just don't think we've come very far. Now, I might be wrong, and there might be a lot of women who say...
I don't think the West themselves has really, run with that idea so much.
Yeah, but then the question then arises is, if not that idea, then what? See, this is where we're stuck. Because you're saying, okay, then does this mean I should marry everyone? See, that's why I think that this stuff is unanswered. Because should we take it then, if you're saying, okay, we must attach meaning, or we automatically attach meaning, then should we take it out of the casual zone into what zone? What does the serious zone mean? Now, that is, I think, where we don't understand. Does serious zone mean marriage? No. Can it be serious without it being marriage? I think that is the crux of this book. I mean, why can't things be serious in any form? I mean, even if you decide to see a guy 3 times a week in the evening, that might be very serious for you. Why does it have to be defined as non-serious or casual, if that's the case?
No, so but if you're meeting him 3 times a week, it's not casual.
No, but that's the point. How do you define it? How do you define commitment? How do you define? That's what I'm saying. So it's a very it's a real roller coaster world, I think, especially for younger people. We still manage to cushion ourselves and get along with it, maybe. But I just feel that because there are no answers really, in a way, there's no defined. As I was saying in the old days. Well, the guy liked you. It was quite simple. You met each other, you then got married and had babies. There was no questions.
There was no question.
Here now, somebody will ring you at 3 in the morning. And you're saying,
who took the whole thing? I was also quite surprised at that, bit where he took the whole thing as some evidence of an affair, the hot affair that you guys had. There was nothing like that.
But see his background. I mean, the point is that, see the beginning of the story.
But even the background...
He hasn't really changed his mindset, right? Because he was married he was a traditional man in my college, He believed in God day and night. And he, chose based on his parents. And he followed the pattern which everyone expected him to follow. So that's what I'm trying to say. So perhaps on the outside he had changed. But internally his thinking was still kind of the same. So that's where I feel that no one really changes, if you're from there. That I don't think he changed much. And I mean, in his mind, it was quite simple. If a woman responds to your telephone calls, invites you for a drink, and has you sitting in a private space with her in her house, what else is there to ask about that? It's obvious.
God.
So that really is. That was the generation. That was the generation of men I come from. That is the generation I come from. So let's not get away from that. Mostly the thinking stays that way. And I haven't found any move on that one. If you invite someone home, well, look, there's something up. So that's not to say it's more convenient to invite someone home. Sometimes it's just convenient, right? You've had a long day at work, you tell someone, drop by on your way home. But that's always construed as, she's very keen on me. And so I'm just saying that is something which I've come across numerous times.
Okay. And also I found this very interesting that you say that there are these incidents in your book where the men are acting and they're clearly not attractive. They're middle-aged, paunchy, whatever, balding, and they're acting as if they're doing you a favor by spending time with you.
Absolutely.
I mean, hello.
But then other women have given them that idea, so why are we blaming them? They have succeeded with several other women, haven't they?
But why?
Well, that's to ask the whole world out there, and maybe that's what... See, the message ultimately is do not settle, please. You don't have to settle for... Do not settle, please. I mean, you don't have to, is my point. I mean, the thing is, that was the whole thing, that at a certain age, you feel, oh, maybe, it'll never happen for me now. It's now over. The first phase of my life is over. Now officially I'm, I've got X number of years left of looking decent. So, this guy's interested. He's not bad after all. You say he's not bad after all. Rather than, oh, this is the kind of guy I'd like to be with. So,
like that incident of that friend of yours who's with the guy who makes her pay.
No, it's. I know numerous such things because yes,
that's
absolutely.
Exploitation, no?
Yeah, but the women seem to feel that it's worth paying for men's company. Paying. When I say paying, I don't mean necessarily paying, but
she's paying for his household expenses.
Yeah. I know women who take men on holidays regularly.
What are you saying?
No, I'm serious. Absolutely. Why would I just say that? And the point is
that a loser, yeah.
That's a reflection of really the fact that they think that, look, if it's not now, then when? Maybe never. And nobody wants maybe never. I brought that point up. Nobody wishes to be alone in the end.
That is true.
And the fact is, if you're threatened with being alone, then you may as well have someone standing by your side.
Koi bhi chalega.
Hoi. I mean, the thing is, if you look at, people of another class, you look at, say, your cleaning person, you'll see that they live with drunkards. It's an extreme example, but I'm just saying. So you'll say, no, but she'll say, Didi, what will I do? Because in that particular area where I live, if I live alone and without a man, so I think that's a primal kind of reaction, but we are not that far from that.
Yeah, so, that section where you work with drug addicts.
Yeah.
That was also, I found that very interesting where you said that you found a commonality with those women who are from a different class. There is a commonality.
Between all of us. I think between all women there is a commonality, and that's what I'm saying. So it doesn't really matter. It's just that everything is played out in a different social class.
Yeah.
Obviously, if you live in a slum, it's going to be more obvious if you live alone in a slum.
Yeah.
I live in a building in a high rise with 20 apartments surrounding me. I'm safer. And so therefore I'm not the object of too much attention. But the point is, at the end of the day, that thread of feeling of I'm alone is something, people look at it in a very piteous way. They feel being alone is so, and then so I find the other option is then you choose relationships or you choose men who are so ill-suited to you. They contribute nothing to your life. So they're just male. I mean, so then what's that about? And that's what I'm saying. So you can only talk to people to that extent and say, listen, what is this guy actually doing for you? Tell me. Does he even make you laugh? Honestly, that's a very important question for me. Does the guy even make you laugh? Does he have a good conversation?
That's a basic thing. He has to make you laugh.
So he doesn't make you. If he doesn't make you laugh and he doesn't even have anything to talk about with you, then what are you guys doing sitting? You're not married. If you're not married, then don't be married. Don't be anything. So I feel that is the stem of. I think that's where all our catching on to all sorts of odd situations. You can see me. I mean, buzzing around town with these odd people, as you rightly asked. What were you doing with these odd people? And that's a very valid question. They are odd, and but
it's educational. It provided sufficient matter.
Yeah, I think it was just
for this.
I actually just said, what is because I'm a microbiologist, as you know, by training. So I'm used to observing things. Just can't help it. That was the way it was. So it was like this. Okay, so there's this person who looks like this, is like this, behaves like this. So what's that about? Honestly, it was some strange anthropological, sociological curiosity, and my wondering where I fit in.
Okay.
And the awkwardness of that fit, as you can see, which never happened.
Yeah.
But
But were there any men who you just decided that, oh my God, and you didn't include in the book, and they were just like too pathetic to include?
We meet so many people, and the thing is that when you write a memoir, this is a memoir.
Yeah.
So what I'd like to clarify is that, see, I love chick lit, first of all. I mean, if you look at The Devil Wears Prada, Bridget Jones's Diary, those are my favorite books.
Yeah.
So I think despite the everyone complains about chick lit, but chick lit is a great genre, and the only difference between, I think this is non-fiction. Chick lit is generally fiction. And the memoir meant that, see, a memoir is a very interesting form. Because it means that how are you going to write a story? So I had various options. One was that I include all the really dismal situations, and
there were many.
Oh, of course they carry on. I mean, I've been alone for 20 years, so they carry on. And so how do I present these situations? I chose. I didn't want to be a victim. B, I didn't want to, absolutely take a hammer and say that that a man or a woman is an absolute loser in that way. So criticizing is very easy, blaming is easy, and victimizing is easy. And those were the three things which I tried to stray away from. I just wanted to write something with some degree of compassion, however bizarre that word is in this context. But I just.
So, but you have been compassionate.
Yeah, I just wanted to.
I mean,
yeah.
I was thinking when I was reading it that I don't think I would have lasted 5 minutes with any of these. I was just like, buzz off.
Yeah.
You've had so much patience and you've like spoken to them.
Yeah.
And
that's because we're trained to be nice.
Yeah.
My generation of women is trained to be so nice. You'll sit and you'll get bored out of your skull.
I think all generations, even now,
maybe.
Nice.
So we're just trained to be so nice that, we just don't know how to say, it's enough.
Bas abhi jao.
Yeah, that's enough, exactly. That is something I probably learnt now. Where I'm looking and I'm saying, one meeting is quite enough with even a business client. Because you tend to explore too much. You say, give the person another chance. Maybe something will materialize. So I think that is to do with more the fact that we're nice. We're supposed to be nice. Yeah. And when we're not nice, we're called aggressive. We're called, ugly. We're called wicked. So we're called bitches. Yeah. So to avoid that stereotype, I think we try and just tag along. And maybe I was too nice. You're right. I agree with you that I was too nice in some of these situations. Yeah. But then, hey, they made for a good book.
Yeah, they made for a good book. Good, you and I.
Yeah.
Well, let's see if people have had anything to say. If there are any questions. Okay. I have to go to the Hindustan Times site. Oops. So we are talking about Manspotting, Ritu Bhatia's book, and
and we're talking about internet connectivity, which tends to fluctuate a bit off and on. Yeah.
So, let's see the videos. It doesn't seem to have. Maybe I should get another phone. One sec. Yeah. Okay, we'll talk until this thing comes up. Sometimes, I don't know.
So what I do want to mention also is that when I looked at the world of relationships at midlife, there was no avoiding the context. Which is why you'll find so many things about, there was no avoiding the social context of midlife relationships.
Yeah.
There was no avoiding looking at what single means in India. There was no avoiding looking at so many aspects what middle age means to people in India. So that was the interesting part of this experiment, this writing for me. That I had to sort of examine it all through the lens of these different lenses. So you cannot just say, let's look at love, sex and relationships.
Dhaval says hello, hi. Then Debanjan Dhar says, do you worry about readership in the light of the fact that your book, beautiful and insightful though it is non-conformist in attitude and structure?
Yeah.
Talk about that.
Yeah, okay.
It's a nice question.
Yeah, thank you. That's a very good question and one I'd like to answer. It was very difficult to arrive at a structure for this book.
Okay.
Because it was actually a bunch of ramblings about different situations and myself. And imposing a structure, yes, indeed it was quite a stretch to impose a structure on this book. And it is unconventional. Yeah. But my inspiration comes from American writers. I'm the first one to tell you that. I like first-person writing. I love memoirs. And all my favorite writers are American or Canadian women. So perhaps that's why if you look at Margaret Atwood's structure, those are my writer pets. Joyce Carol Oates.
Okay.
Yeah. Barbara Kingsolver. Yeah. I sort of like Canadian, those sort of writers, and Sue Miller. So therefore the structure is actually, it's not that, maybe it's unusual in an Indian book, but actually these kind of structures are typical in many first person short stories. So that's what I'd like to explain, that the inspiration has been taken from Western writers, women Western writers.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and what was the other part of his question? I didn't...
The other part of his question was... Huh. Do you worry about reading?
I just thought, let me write about what it's like to be a woman, what it's like to be in India, what it's like to be middle-aged, and what it's like to be puttering around this urban jungle.
Yeah.
And I did not. And I'm very grateful to my publisher that they obviously didn't feel the need to think about reader either. I mean, they just assumed that it would have a larger appeal. And we don't know about the rest, but that's yeah.
But you know, I think like, I don't know whether the way we bring up our daughters has changed much. Like when I read, you know, you said you're growing up in the 70s and all those things. That's the way I think it still is. You know, one was brought up in a very protected fashion, you know, and the idea was that you got married and you left. There was no in-between stage. Like there is an in-between stage now where, you know, you go off.
Yeah, you can go for a residential college or that stuff was not...
But still you're expected in the end to conform, right? So I don't think really things have changed much for women within the Indian context. And what I liked about your book is your exploration of that. You know, not enough has been written, you know.
Yeah, I'd like to know more about that actually. I do think that you're right. When you look at attitudes and things, they remain pretty ingrained in the past. We haven't evolved in many ways. So while there's an external evolution and the so-called liberation, you know, it's evident in the media, it's evident everywhere. Media images
it's only evident in the media.
Yeah, and also
it's evident anywhere else.
in media, in magazines, newspapers, films. Netflix, and then you have social media. Look at social media. So the thing is, social media communication channels are booming everywhere, and so it gives you the illusion that we have progressed. You know, there's the illusion that look where we've come from where we were. So, but you're right. I think it's a few households here and there who actually consciously try and raise their daughters differently, you know, but even they don't know how, and I don't blame them because it's a tough world out there, especially Delhi, you know. I wish there was a world, actually what I'd love is that women actually function in a world which is safe, secure, respects them. That's what we should move towards, right? Single or otherwise, you know, for our daughters, for single women, it should be a world which promises you some level of security, safety, respect, and that you should be able to function like a man, to put it in a very basic way. So I think that when you're talking of changing attitudes to the way we are raised, you know, yes, of course we raise our daughters in a very strict way, but that's because the world out there doesn't ensure them all these things, don't you think?
I mean, if I had daughters, I would definitely ask them what time they're coming back, which I don't ask.
Yeah, people do because they're worried about safety, and isn't that a natural concern?
Thing, given how we are.
Yes, exactly. So it's a real catch-22 for parents, because they're stuck in a world where their daughters are demanding more freedom. I know my nieces demand freedom. Everybody demands, but there's an actual concern of now I'm sending you off in the middle of the night here. Will you be okay when you come back? Are you going to take public transport? So those things aren't ensured.
No.
So don't you think liberation comes with safety?
Yeah, of course.
Whether it's sexual safety or
hearts in his eyes.
Great, excellent. We're so happy that you and I have collectively incited this response. Maybe we're both wearing similar colors, and so that's why yellow. Who knows?
Okay. Okay, great. So then, Shireen Chabras, will you make this into a movie?
Oh, my book?
Yeah.
Actually,
that's a great idea.
I'm thinking of it. I've got someone working on the script.
Really?
Yeah.
Who?
I don't want to name the person because it's an experiment right now. But we're trying. We're thinking of a series. You know, like the Sex and the City series.
It's lovely. Yeah.
I would love it. I envisioned it as something like the. You know, I thought, look here. Wouldn't it be interesting to have, like you have Bridget Jones's Diary?
Yeah.
But here you have an Indian woman, single woman of a certain age.
Yeah.
Sitting in urban India.
Yeah.
In some flat.
Yeah.
And so,
and
these adventures,
and that burglary, and each of those things is a great episode.
Yeah, I had visualized, I sort of tend to write in a very graphic way, if you've noticed.
Yeah.
So, I think that
even that male model, who do you think would play?
Oh well, that was a fun episode with him. Yeah, I mean he must still be around. Yeah.
And the salsa dance. I mean, each of these are made for. I mean, it's really cinematic now that this person has mentioned it. You know.
Yeah.
Shireen Chabra.
Yeah, that's nice. Yeah, I am thinking of that, and really, I have someone experimenting with it right now.
Okay.
So let's see. It's fun. This project was fun. I'm so happy I found a publishing company, Speaking Tiger, who agreed to join the fun with me.
Good publishing company.
Yeah, a really good publishing company and an excellent editor who helped me improve Renuka helped me improve my text hugely. You know, she picked holes. It was very annoying when it was happening, I must say. But in the end, she pushed me to kind of deliver something better.
Okay.
So I feel that overall it's gone fine for me. Now, whether there's a reader or how much it sells, I don't know. But I'm saying I did what I set out to do with the help of people who supported me.
I'm sure it'll be a bestseller. I mean, it's a great read. I really enjoyed it. I read it at one go. And usually, I mean, I read things in a very cursory way.
Well, thank you. You're seeing your expression in the first round.
That's, so great. So thanks Ritu, for
Thanks a
coming
ton.
on.
It was lovely. I really enjoyed our conversation. Thank you.
Bye.